Welcome back to Incubate Vegas, guys. Maggie, what week are we on this week?
7? I don't
I don't even
know.
know.
I think it's 7. Let me count.
I failed. We'll figure it out, but we're up past week.
7.
I know that. So if you haven't checked in, please go ahead and check in. We have one phone going, so I'm just gonna wait. Okay. Okay. So we this week are still on commit as our program, but this one's going to be fun. It's all about finances. Yeah, so much excitement. So we're going to talk about a few different things. We're also going to open it up for discussion because I'm curious what you guys feel you'll see along the way. So let's start with commit financial management, financial planning, and the 3 primary financial statements. I believe these were sent to you guys already. Did you guys receive them?
Sent Monday.
They were sent Monday? Maybe. Okay. So it's kind of small for me to read. I'm going to have to get up there. So financial planning and the 3 primary financial statements. So you have your income statement, which goes over your net sales, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, the bottom line of income, balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. So balance sheet covers current assets, current liabilities, equity, and cash flow statement is run KC, total cash, and run KC again. You guys, I am going to tell you one thing. I know numbers are scary. Please, please, please take a look at these when you guys have some time. And for those of you who have, curious if anybody's actually taken anything away or learned anything from this sheet, that maybe they had it before. This is a homework check. Nope. Okay. So there's, it wasn't a formal assignment, but it was sent out to you guys on Monday. We can, Maggie, did we email it or Slack it?
I believe that Cora emailed it, but I'll look in the Slack to see if it was there.
We can drop it in Slack too for you guys. That way it's in there as well. This is really, really helpful. So hold on, sorry.
Yeah. I'll see if I can get it into Slack tonight.
Thank you, Maggie. So a few questions. How comfortable are you guys with, from 1 to 5, with finances and understanding what your finances need to look like and what you need to track with your business or potential business? 4, 3, 4, 4. I feel like you're a 5. Okay, just check.
Someone online is a 3, and Jennifer's a 4.
So there's some comfort, right? Like you're either, I get that I have to do it, and I understand some of the things I need to do probably from this, but I'm sure there's some either fine tuning or some other details that you'll need to understand along the way. Know that we also have a lot of different, and I'm just going to put this out there. So we had a great speaker last night that went over a lot of different things with finances and understanding how investments, how to be investable and things like that. And that was a part of our Angel NV session. I also strongly believe you guys should watch that video. It's a great session. We're probably going to post it at the end of the week, so just keep that in mind. If you haven't visited our YouTube, go to our YouTube. There's a lot of information there too. Okay, so next slide. Your income statement, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. So this is also something that was sent to you. This is just a breakdown of what this needs to look like without really any numbers in it. The great thing is if you go to Excel, most of them will have some kind of template for this in Google Sheets. You may need to tweak it a bit to make it work for you, but they have a pretty standard version on there. So just a heads up, you don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of them already have the, the formulas that are in there that you'll need that'll total everything at the bottom. You'll just need to tweak it a little bit. So play around with this, enter some numbers in, understand what your finances look like. Has anybody worked with an income statement before? Balance sheet and cash flow statement. Meanwhile, he says he's a 3. Okay. I feel like there's a few 4.5s here. Okay, got it. Okay, well, you guys are a little bit ahead of the game, which is great. So I have a question for anybody that has used these before. How long did it take for you to get a comfort level to them? Few months? You should hire an accountant. That's good advice. Or do that. But okay, so it takes a little while. Now, when you started to get used to them in those first 3-4 months, maybe that, you started using them, did you guys realize you missed a whole bunch of stuff? Yeah. Okay. So next slide, commit, predict, measure, analyze, predict again. So you'll make various predictions, assumptions, or estimates of financial activity, such as for pricing, number of products sold, cost of products, marketing expenses, etc. This is your predictions. I mean, you may miss some stuff, but it's cool. Just you'll figure it out. Measure, once you begin operations, you'll measure your actual results through some accounting system, checkbook activity, or banking system. You also track operational metrics such as units sold by products, etc. Maggie, and I just wanted to ask you real quick while we're on the slide, is there any accounting system that you feel would be good for startups that maybe is low cost or no cost? Can you think of any?
I'm sure there's some out there, but I don't know them offhand, no. QuickBooks is pretty reliable, and a lot of accountants can exchange information with you, and they don't have to be like super CPAs, but just like a bookkeeping service. You have a really nice one there in Las Vegas called the Office Squad. They don't charge a ton of money, and they will actually provide you with QuickBooks as part of their monthly fee. But it depends on how many transactions you're going to have and how busy you're going to keep them as to what they charge. But I really like them, and we use them, but there may be a free option out there. I just don't know what it is. Oh, JJ is saying Wave is free, and also one called Freshly.
Freshly, and what's the other one?
Wave, like a
Wave. Okay, so we have 2 other ones, and you said you've used Office Squad? No.
Yes, and Lawrence uses Excel, so
yeah,
a lot of people do.
We have a QuickBooks user in here, and we have an Excel user online. As you get more into it, I feel like it's you might Excel may get tricky, but I think as you're small and you can still manage, that's probably really the best tool to go. So analyze, then you'll analyze those results to determine if your original assumptions were correct. You'll likely find some of your, or predict again, you'll likely find some of your assumptions need to be changed, which will lead you to make new predictions. So when you guys were going through, and anybody that's already kind of started tracking their finances, what were you missing? So from your original, this is what I'm predicting, this is what I'm putting down, this is what my costs. What are some of the items that you realized, oh, I'm missing that? Just curious. Anybody? Can't think off the top of your head. That, and you'll see it coming up. So what he just said is, it was easy to know what the money coming in. So all of the income coming in, but what was really hard to predict was a lot of the expenses that need to go out, and some of the overhead when it comes to employees, even when it comes to toilet paper. So different things like that is what you start to realize as you get more familiar with your finances. Okay, so commit sales projections. Three methods. You have comparative, average, and bottom up. So comparative is your company and, company A, company B, company C, company D. To other companies, but Maggie, how would they get that information?
All right, what are you asking me?
So if they were to compare their finances with other companies, how would they get that information?
It's hard to come by. We have a database, and so does Patrick Griffiths, if you remember him. It's called BizMiner, and it does localized businesses, but I don't know how you would actually find their financials. They're going to be, oh, they're doing sales projections, not financials. So some of that, if they're privately held, that's not necessarily public, but they do try to estimate. So if you can ask, just do your own darn thing. Don't worry about other people.
For public companies, they have to share their, yeah. Okay. So, well, I guess if you're striving to be that public company, go there. Go by their financials.
And if you're doing budgeting for the next year and you have a whole year's worth of activity that you can look back on, then you can look at your own trend and either continue it if you can keep up with the same amount of marketing spend, or take it back a little bit if you can't afford to do that much marketing. Look at what you already know to predict the future.
Bottom up. So your average is literally just your average throughout a certain week, month, year, to Maggie's point. And your bottom up is I'll start from bottom up. Cost of sales plus expenses, expected profit, and projected annual sales. Questions to consider. What are the different types of startup costs and how are they estimated? How do costs of goods sold and operating expenses relate to profitability? What does the way inventory is managed why does the way inventory is managed have an impact on profits? What are the three functional areas of operating expenses? So let's talk about one. What are the different types of startup costs and how are they estimated? Anybody? Yes, but I mean, it's like you said, you still have some kind of overhead, right? So we talked about one of them already, which is a system to manage your finances. That's an example of an overhead cost. Anybody else have an example?
So even if you're doing it in your home, you know what your power bill is. You can measure your office space and take that percentage of your house. You have to know your square footage of your whole house too, and apply that percentage to your power bill. And that will be a reasonable estimate of what your electric expense is, and you can claim that on your tax return.
So if I work from home,
I am not a tax advisor.
Everything. And you said AWS, that's a cost for people who are going to need AWS to be successful in their business. Your cell phone bill could be a cost.
Lawrence
Rent,
saying,
yeah.
Lawrence is saying supplies, leasing, staffing if necessary, utilities, licensing.
Licensing, you mentioned one, overhead for salaries. Yep. And toilet paper. I feel like that's a valid one. Nobody wants to live without toilet paper.
Coffee.
Yeah, coffee is another. I need coffee. I mean, we tried to live without toilet paper during COVID. That was a mess. We saw what happened there. Okay, so next slide. Here's a list. So you have office supplies, accounting fees, benefits and taxes, inventory, rent deposit, utility deposit, stationery brochures, telephone deposit, equipment, vehicles, capital expenditures, furniture and fixtures, leasehold improvements, salaries and wages, working capital, point of sale system, printing, business cards, business supplies, and legal consulting fees. So you have a whole list of different things here that you may not have thought of originally, right? Which is great. Now I'm thinking, can I do this for work from home, even though I don't have my own business? But I'll figure that one out later. Okay, so commit cost of goods sold. So labor plus cost of materials and parts equals cost of goods sold. Labor plus cost of direct supplies is cost of sales. What does that say? Adding raw material cost and production cost together result in the total cost of goods sold. Does anybody have an actual product where they have to pay for labor, or they're going out, or even, I guess labor would also be considered hiring somebody to build your, or your pro, or
Well,
your
Lawrence
tech
does.
product. Yeah.
Mr. Cheesecake does.
Oh yeah, he does. Are you here, Lawrence?
He's online. Why don't you unmute, Lawrence?
Good evening, folks. Good evening. Good evening.
Hi, Lawrence. So
Hi.
question for you, Lawrence. For your cost of goods sold, when you originally estimated what that was going to be, did you have a reality check somewhere along the way?
Yes, every step of the way. And at some point, at some point, just to break down what I had to do to figure out how much it costs per personal. So I have the 1 ounce portions that some of you guys that come on Thursdays have been privy to try, but I also have the 3 ounce portions. And with that, I had to figure out how much it costs to make one. So I sell a dozen, and I have to figure out how much milk or cream rather, how much for like for example the pumpkin cognac, how much pumpkin do I use out of a container that I purchase, and that would give me the cost of that one portion, so to speak. And I had to do it for every ingredient, even the cornstarch, the cream cheese, everything. And that was a reality check as far as how much the cost of the goods related to how much the goods actually cost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you realized once you broke it down, what the cost of it each was. And it's crazy because you think baking powder, you don't use that much, right? Well, yeah,
It does quantify, and you have to take account for all of that.
yeah. Does anybody here have a tech solution or software that they've had to outsource to have it built? Just curious, yeah? Did you expect the cost to be what it was to hire somebody to do that? Yeah. So tech consulting is interesting, right? And she said that she went over for her solution more, it took more hours than she initially thought it would to build, because she didn't really take into account some of the other steps that a software developer would need to do. So in the end, they didn't budget for, well, and I get why, right? And I get why, because you don't know until you build it, and tech is a tricky thing. So that's also something, that you're, now you know, yeah, now you know. So you guys, regardless of what business you have, you'll always, the one thing I think that every startup founder realizes at some point in time is that, okay, that cost a lot more than I expected it to, right? So, and I like having conversations with Maggie, because she's a big pile of amazing information. So Maggie, question for you. For startups that are initially starting, and they either have to hire tech, or they're just starting out, so they're not sure what their cost of goods are going to look like, is there a percentage that maybe is a rule of thumb to over budget by?
Oh gosh, if you don't know much about business, I would say 50%. If you have some experience in your industry, you should probably over budget by 25.
So just something to consider.
But here's another thing I would say though, is if you're trying to market or to build a technical product, go find a technical co-founder.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
them in the boat with you so that they have skin in the game, and they'll be able to one of the main reasons you want to do it, not just for the sharing of the equity, but because you'll be able to respond faster to what your customers want. And so it won't take you 3 months to get it back from your contractor. You can have it done in 2 weeks. And when you're doing software, you should be doing 2-week sprints. You should be, you know, having a roadmap and doing 2-week sprints, especially if you have a product that you think is unique to you, but there may be other people coming down the pike, you got to move fast.
Yeah. Agile project management, Maggie. That is the rule of Scrum, right?
Yeah.
2 week sprints. If you sorry for those of you guys, I'm in tech, so I geek out over stuff like that. I'll leave it alone. Okay, so
let's give a resource though, because it won't be in this deck. If you go to Y Combinator, that's the letter Y and the word combinator.com, they have on their website a technical co-founder. They don't even say technical, it's like co-founder matching. So maybe you can find somebody who's willing to do it. They're probably not going to be in Las Vegas. If you want to try to find a Las Vegas technical co-founder, I would go figure out where to go, and I don't know where to go within UNLV where they have students that are working on stuff like that.
maybe start at Blackfire.
I would still start at the school because you have a greater chance of finding somebody who's hungry there. I think, but I don't know.
Things to consider. Okay, so commit, intellectual property, any creation that comes from the mind. It could be an invention, an idea, a process, or a formula. 5 types of IP: trademarks, copyrights, patents, trade secrets, and confidential information. Anything from brand name and logos that can be trademarked, artwork on the products can be copywritten, design is patented, formulas and processes are trade secrets, financial performance is confidential information. And have you guys, anybody that has their brand or their logo, have you guys copywritten it yet? Principal register on November 7th. Congratulations. Nice. Anybody online?
Hey there. So
It's Lawrence. Hi.
hi. So I think it was last week, either last week or a week before the last, there was a gentleman who spoke about trade laws and the copywriting and trademarking and that sort of thing.
Yes.
I had the chance to sit down with him on the following Thursday, and he explained that because of the years that I used the Sound of Cheesecake, because I've been using it since I was in New York, since 2011. He said that the name is technically trademarked. So I can literally put the little TM next to my business name, and that would be totally legit. I looked it up, and he definitely has a valid situation there. Whereas depending on the length of time that you use the name of your logo, or your business rather, could deem it automatically trademarked. And I forgot the years that I came across. I forgot the number of years, but I believe it varies from region to region.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know you could do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know that either, but it's one of those trade secrets.
Oh.
But I will definitely do the registration, because the registration is the more important one that covers you nationally.
Okay. So anybody else?
While you're doing that, I just looked up the trademark has been in continuous use in commerce for a period of 5 years after the date of registration. So I think that's still considered trademarked.
No.
Yeah, so a shadow trademark or a shadow copyright. With trademarking, it's a little bit trickier because you could use it for 5 years and then discover that somebody else already had it, and that you've basically been stealing it for 5 years, and then you don't get to keep it anymore. But I've forgotten what the website is, but the system is called TESS, TESS, that basically you could put in at least verbiage. It won't necessarily be like your logo as a trademark and that sort of thing, but you can at least put words in to see if they've been trademarked already. With artwork, any kind of a creative work is copyrighted to you the moment you create it. But to protect it, you want to register it in Washington. So,
Got it.
okay, so let's say you wrote a paper for a class. You are the copyright owner of that paper. If you want to turn it into a book, then you probably ought to register that paper with the Copyright Office in Washington so that you have the documentation that says, no, this was mine as of this date. There are also what we call post office copyrights, where you can take what is you created, your logo, whatever, and mail it to yourself. Because then a federal agency has a date stamped what it is that's inside the envelope. Just don't open the envelope unless you have to be in court or something.
Unless your house is on fire. Actually, no, just hopefully your house doesn't catch on fire. But thank you for that. And see, I bet you guys didn't know that you had somebody in your cohort that knew all that information. This is why you guys need to connect with each other on Slack and then continue your friendships. Okay. Next slide. See, this one was probably should have got a local attorney, but we did have some people that have done copyright and some law that have come in here already. So commit laws, regulations, and contracts. Please, 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 please do the research. Find out what it is for our state and for the city of Las Vegas and for Clark County, because we're also in Clark County, and of course federally. This is really, really important. So for federal business registration, Form SS-4 EIN, employment tax withholdings, OSHA compliance. State collected sales tax, registration with Secretary of State. Local is fire inspection, building, and zoning. The fire inspection, building, and zoning, I mean, if you're working from home right now, then you probably don't need that. But if you actually are going to have an office building and a place of, work, then yes, that. Trust me, I work for the city. It's a thing, folks.
And if you recall back to week 2, we had Marcel talk about the roadmap, and that has all of the state's requirements. You can find that through that roadmap. It's the Department of Business and Industry.
Oh, that PDF. Do you guys remember when he came and shared? Yeah. I hope everybody saved the link. If not, I'll go in and I'll find the link and I'll drop it in Slack again.
I'll drop it today.
Oh, thank you, Maggie. How about pitches? Has anybody done their elevator pitch yet? Weren't we supposed to do that, Maggie? And we never did. Their elevator pitch, did we?
That was a couple of weeks ago.
Does anybody who didn't do it then want to do it again? Or try it? No. Okay, I'm ready. Oh, Maggie, this is all you. Pitch decks.
Yeah.
Do you have a short presentation on hand you can refer back to about pitch decks?
But that's lesson number 9 or 10.
It is lesson number 9 or 10. It's coming up, yeah. You will be pitching. Is it the week before, Maggie?
I think it's too close. So what we should do is send you the link of a past presentation.
Okay. We have a lot online for pitch decks, but don't worry, I'll just give you alcohol. You'll be fine.
So our demo day, our pitch day, is going to be December 2nd in this very same room. It starts at noon. We're going to have a sign-up sheet so that there could be a lot of you that are doing it, and we hope that you all do try. And you are welcome to bring your family and friends to it. And so we wanted to put this sign-up sheet together so that you're not sitting for 3 hours if you don't have to before it's your turn to go on. So I will have Cara send out on Monday a link to one of the shorter versions of the pitch deck, and it has all of the slides that you're going to be working on. And a lot of the information that we've covered so far will go into your slides. So there's 7 or 8 slides that you're going to be creating based on a lot of the information that you've learned so far.
Can they, and I guess, can we set up are we going to set up some office hours for these folks to be able to review their pitch decks before they pitch, or?
Well, yes, of course, we have them anyway.
Maggie has office hours. I don't know if you guys know that, but she's like I said, she has a lot of resources. Normally what office hours is virtually, she just gets in on a Zoom, people pop in, they ask her questions, they spend some time with Maggie, and then they leave, and then the next person comes in. Maggie, do you want to share your office hours?
Well, I don't have any this week because I put a link into the chat of a YouTube video, and this was something that was prepared for Launch Rural Nevada. So we, in addition to working in Las Vegas and in Reno, we try to spread the love to the rural communities too. And so this Friday is Rural Pitch Day. And so they've been going through some of the videos and have submitted their applications, and we're down to 4 finalists for the adults, and we have a sponsor for our youth track. So Nevada Gold Mines out in, I think they're in Elko, they wanted to sponsor a pitch competition for the youth as well. So they are competing on Friday. So we have a couple of panels beforehand, and then the adults go on at 11 and the kids go on at noon, and that's usually when I have office hours. So I will not be able to do that this week.
Let me.
Sorry, this is JJ from online.
Hey, JJ.
I know last week the internet kind of went out on last week's topic. Would it be possible to kind of cover the second half of that?
Yes, Shauna, that's a great idea.
That is a great idea. Let me find please. Let me find the deck.
And what are you showing Angel Boot Camp for?
I'm trying to find the other deck. I was trying to put you up there so they could see you, Meg.
Oh.
Hold on, now I have to find the other deck. Okay, it was what week was it?
6.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do this again. So if you guys are wondering why you see commit, it's because it's this is just the section that we're working on. Commit has the different parts of the session, and I think it has 4 different parts to it. So for those of you online and for those in the room, last week the call dropped halfway through, or our Wi-Fi did, so we could only do it with the people that were here in person. So if you guys were here in person, feel free to leave. I promise you, I'm not a mean teacher. So have a good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, perfect. Bring my buddy if you want to. And then for those who are staying, welcome back. Let's do this again. Okay, so commit, designing marketing materials. The focus of brand design. Relevance, does the design communicate the essence of the brand and what it stands for? Consistency. Are the elements of the brand used consistently? Professionalism, do the materials meet the expectations of the target audience and how they view good branding? We have one person in our cohort that has an event planning business, and she showed me her logo, and when I saw the logo, the one thing that I really liked about it, it was very elegant, but that's also a part of her brand, right? It's creating elegant events. I thought it was perfect, and I think that for me, the consistency and what she was trying to communicate really, really did come across in that. Maybe she'll share with us in Slack one day. Okay, she's in the room. That's why I'm eyeballing her right now. Commit, getting your customers' attention, the rule of 7. The rule of 7 states that a prospect needs to hear or see an advertisement or an advertiser's message at least 7 times before they take action to buy. Tell a brand story. Make it simple, make it memorable, make it inviting to look at, make it fun to read. Maggie was telling us last week that her husband, Jeff, has this jingle that's stuck in his head. But in the jingle, they don't share the name of the company. So although he remembers the jingle, he has no idea what the company's name is. That wasn't the smartest move, but at least he remembers the jingle. Commit distribution and sales. The method companies use to sell and deliver products or services to their target market and the means by which they are distributed. Distribution analysis. Where and how does the target market shop for similar products or services? What distribution channels do top competitors use? What new distribution channels are being used in the industry? What are the distribution channels are being used successfully in other industries that may have an impact here? What typical barriers or challenges for entering new distribution channels are foreseen? How effective is the current selling method in meeting future goals? Examples are in-house staff or intermediaries. What distribution channel strategies might be used to accomplish these goals? Distribution is tricky, right? So if you're selling online, something they always think about is having search engine optimization. So understanding that you're going to have to optimize your product or service, and unless you know how to do it yourself, maybe spend a little bit of money so that when that product is searched, your search is or your brand is more likely to come up within the first page or two. Commit distribution and sales. Always be selling. Bottom line success in business hinges on sales execution. 4-stage selling process: selecting the target, engaging the prospect, making the match, doing the deal. I'm laughing because I'm like, sounds like a hitman too. No, I'm sorry. Right now, Maggie's like, oh, shut up. You know, it's a part of your pitch as well. Selecting your target, engaging the prospect, making the match, and doing the deal. You'll need to know all of these as you start to do your pitch as well. And I think we've talked a little bit about that when we've discussed very briefly on pitches and understanding what that needs to look like. You'll learn a lot more about that, and Maggie said, week 9. Leads, prospects, and customers. Maggie, you made a few suggestions earlier on something we needed to discuss. What was that?
Well, I put the link to the Department of Business and Industry in there. The other things were about the homework that was sent.
What was the homework? We've had 3 different projects to take home.
One was a financial model. One was, let's see, I popped them in here, but I didn't title them all. Okay, pet groomer, cost of goods sold, and operating expense activity. So it's an example using this pet groomer business. And then the second one is a financial model template, so that will help. And the third one is 3 sales projection methods and exercises.
Oh, so which one would be the preference here? Anybody in the room or online?
You should do the first one first. So the pet groomer COGS.
The pet groomer homework. Did anybody actually do that? Come on. Did you? No. Oh man. Anybody online? Yes. So we sent home homework with everybody. Anytime that at the end of it, we're like, hey, this is your homework. Don't forget. I mean, we should have been better about covering it, but I know we get involved in some conversations. This is the one session that's ended a little early, which is probably me making up for sessions that have ran late several times. I apologize. So nobody's done that one. Maggie, what's the second one?
Well, the financial model, that takes a long time to prepare.
Has anybody started their financial model? Oh man. Oh man. Anybody online?
No, JJ said he didn't see it until today. Laura didn't see it, and there was one gal who said she didn't get it at all. So that's why I decided to go ahead and put them in the chat.
And now
So
they're in the
maybe we can ask Cara to send out the same email. She'll have to clone it and send it out again.
We'll clone the email with all of them and send them out again.
Yeah.
I feel
All
like
right,
people
Lauren
are
said
bad
that
at checking them.
Lawrence said he liked the financial model spreadsheet. So
Did-
he revisited his old financial model.
Oh, Lawrence, did you learn anything? So compared to your new financial model versus the old one, did anything change?
Yes, there were certain areas that I didn't take account for with my old model, and to be quite honest, I hadn't looked at it in quite a few years. So seeing this new model just kind of refreshed my memory on what I needed to do to kind of enhance what I'm doing financially and just kind of move it forward. So yeah, definitely a few extra things and just kind of updated version of what I thought I was doing in the past. So that's all.
So you recommend everybody do the homework?
Yeah, actually, it would be a good idea. After I looked at the spreadsheets earlier today, and I did, realize, yeah, it's a good thing to have in the file system. So yeah, I would recommend everybody take a stab at it just to get your mind, because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing this with your business forever. So either this
True.
version or a different version that suits your lifestyle or what have you, but you're going to be doing this kind of thing pretty much for the duration of your business.
I agree, Lawrence. Listen to Lawrence, guys. Listen to Lawrence. And then the third one, Maggie, was
The last one was, I think, sales projections. Let me look again.
JJ here, just reaching out
I did it.
because I know in the past I've always kind of had the issue of like what would be like an appropriate sales projection. Of course, like when you're starting off and you really have like no clue, you have this idea, but of course you kind of need some idea to kind of start with, to especially let's say like items sold, like you don't really have, you might have a vague idea but not like something that's a little bit more concrete. Do you guys have like any advice towards that? Is it better just like, yeah, just to go on the smaller side and really like underestimate, or yeah, just kind of speaking out loud, just because in my past and things like that, I always got to that point. I always felt like I have an idea, but it's like I'm not really like confident in those projections. And I heard different people just say like, sometimes people literally just like make it up, and then they just go from there. And I know for me, like morally, it's just who I am. I just like, I can't do that. It's like I'm a data guy, so it's like I need to have like something. I just can't make anything up, I feel like. So I know that's kind of one of the issues I've kind of had in the past when it comes to projections.
So which part were you uncomfortable trying to make up a number?
Yeah, just like like sales, I guess, because the idea of like how much sales you might make within a month to then the yearly projections. That's
Well,
kind of, I always felt like unsure where to
well,
kind
they
of.
are just guesses until you know. How many times do you have to talk to a customer? The branding thing that we just saw said 7 times before they'll buy. So how much time, you can kind of back into it. How much time will it take for you to make 7 impressions on the customer? It's not like 7 impressions in 1 hour, it's 7 impressions over a period of time. So, and then how much money are you going to have to spend to make that impression, right? If you're leaving a tag on their car, that's 1 impression. It might annoy them. But you could try to work through how you're going to reach your customer and how long, how many hours you think it's going to take to gain a customer. So if you think it's going to take 4 hours worth of effort, then of course how many hours in a day are you going to work on this business? So you can kind of use a methodology to back into what you think your sales are going to be.
Okay.
And then
that
you
makes
won't feel
sense.
like you're just guessing. You at least applied some thought to it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I didn't really quite think about that in the past. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's still going to be a guess, but as soon as you start making sales, you'll have better information to base your future projections on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I know, I mean, going about it with that approach, I would feel better just because it's like, I believe this would happen, just based off of this. And I know for me, I've always kind of tried to think about it in like the investors. If I was to, if one day that was to happen, investor, I'd of course want to build a relationship where I feel solid, where it's like, I think could happen. I feel pretty confident that we could at least do this, and kind of like go from there. But I know, of course, like you probably don't want to like underestimate yourself at that point. But some people might go overboard, just because,
Right, you don't want to fool yourself. That's
yeah.
job number one. Like, don't fool yourself because you want to make a good impression on an investor. If anything, you want to underpromise and overdeliver. UPOD.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so being conservative is always good when it comes to the number of sales that you're going to have, and overestimating on the expense side.
Okay.
No? Okay. I guess we are wrapping up early. People, do your homework. Please do your homework.
You sound like the main teacher now.
I know. Now I'm the main teacher. Before I'm like, go home early. Now I'm like, do your homework. So if you guys have not been to our mentor sessions, we strongly suggest you guys come spend some time with our mentors in person. I feel like you can get a lot more information when you're sitting one-on-one with somebody rather than virtually. But of course, if you have to do virtually, we also have that set up. We have some amazing opportunities to also be paired with a mentor. If you guys are interested in that, you can also go to the StartUpNV website. And there is a link that actually brings up mentors. Audrey, who is absolutely amazing and a part of our team, is the one that sets that up. And she does her best to pair you with a mentor that will help with whatever you're trying to accomplish, any barriers that you may have, or maybe even something that you're working on and try to align that way. But provide her with some information, please, so she can pair you guys with the best mentor.
Okay, so I looked up the mentors for tomorrow are Tom Yates, Yan Min Zhu Howard, and Jennifer Ferris. And I do believe that Yan Min is an accounting type person. So she should be able to specifically help with the homework.
Again, homework. But perfect. So that actually works out with our session today, or the one previous to this, one that is currently up. So come by tomorrow then. If you guys have any more questions on the finance piece, I know numbers are scary. Trust me, I feel the same way. But know that you guys have some help and some mentors. Okay. For those of you online, thank you for joining us. If you guys haven't registered, please register to make sure that we know you are here, or sign in virtually. And for those of you in the room, thank you. We'll see you guys tomorrow and next week.